I was a personal trainer for 7 years.
Before I was a recruit, I was a builder and a shop fitter.
Before joining the CFA, I was a carpenter for 6 years.
I was actually a bus driver down in Geelong.
Actually, I worked out on ships with customs as an enforcement officer.
Being looked up on the website, what it all involved, speaking to friends that are fellow firefighters.
One of my friends applied before me, about a year before me, and started telling me about all the stuff that they do and different sort of rescue and so on that they do and all the stuff you can be specialised in. So I decided to put a resume in and just went from there.
I'd been a volunteer for 2 years, and that sort of exposed me to the fire brigade side of things, and I really enjoyed what I'd come across and wanted to take it further, and speaking to a fair few people within staff stations as well.
Being a volunteer gave me some connections to talk to people who are already on staff and use them to basically broaden my horizons and what a CFA firefighter does.
Well, I have a few really good mates that are in the job, and basically they used to rave about how good the job was, so I started chatting to them, and from there that's where my interest perked about getting into it.
I applied twice.
I applied the first time. I put a resume in September, and by April I'd been given sort of the final interview was done, so it was a quick process for me.
I've only applied for the job once, and I was lucky enough to get in my first time. I'd only reached the eligible age limit of 21, and as soon as I turned 21 I applied.
This is actually my first time that I applied.
I'm one of the lucky ones. I only had to apply once, and from there it was a bit of a whirlwind. So.
A lot of studying, a lot of work in the gym, and just keeping up my fitness, and just getting back into that study mode.
Yeah, the application, I spoke to one of my friends who was in the job. I also visited 4 stations, to separate ones around the state, get a different point of view of different risks and how they go about their business and what stuff they store and what they have. And also just sort of did a bit of fitness stuff to maintain for a couple of beep tests, and also did a bit of sort of weights training for the challenge stuff.
The application process there was a fair bit of preparation on my behalf. There was a lot of tutoring for the aptitude tests and a lot of physical fitness to make sure I was right for the challenge and beep tests, and also a fair bit of help from a few family friends with the interview side of things.
There was a lot of station visits to find out what's expected from previous recruits, and also the physical side, some more running, gym work.
I did a few things. I did a lot of physical training, so hit the gym a bit, tried to build my cardio up as well, and also really researched CFA and had a good look at a few stations, and just chatted to the people I knew that were in the job.
Probably the time that it took. It's a good 6-month period, not knowing what's going to happen.
Probably the waiting in between was the hardest part. You sort of, once you get started, you want to just keep going with it, and yeah, the wait in between, although it was pretty quick for me, but that was just not waiting for the final interviews and the results. That was probably the longest part.
The hardest thing for the recruitment process for me would have probably been the interviews. I'd started my job pretty young and had stayed in the same job for a long time, and I'd never been through an interview before, so there was a lot of nerves and stress, I suppose, for the interview side of things.
The hardest thing about the recruitment process was the initial beep test. It wasn't due to the fitness side, it was just more the nerves.
Probably the final interview. Sitting in front of a panel, being fired questions can be quite intimidating, but as long as you just be yourself and answer the questions as they come, you get through it.
Probably finding more about yourself. It's quite a challenging course, but you really find out the type of person you are.
You do meet a lot of different people from all different sort of aspects of life. There's personal trainers down here, there's ex-Olympic athletes, there's carpenters like myself and people that just did different stuff in business and so on. So the mix of people is good. Like I'd never have an opportunity to do this stuff anywhere outside of being here. So doing the drills and so on that we do to get the knowledge we've got is probably the best thing about being down here, building the skills.
The best thing about the course for me has been developing my skills.
Well, so far, it's pretty cool being able to live and work with 25 pretty amazing people, and everyone's from totally different backgrounds, so it's a great thing, yeah.
Hardest thing about the course, to start off, it's probably a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. Getting back into the study mode again with assignments and exams and things like that, that's probably the hardest.
The hardest thing for me probably being away from my partner and son. So, but I mean, we get 3 nights at home, so it's not too bad. You've got to manage your time fairly well.
The hardest thing about the course for me has probably been the study side of things. I left school reasonably early and started my trade, and I'd never been into the study side of things before, so picking that up and developing that, I suppose, was a big learning curve for me.
Hardest thing about the course is the constant study.
I'd probably have to say learning something new, so new and so much information to take in at once, and then actually applying it all. I mean, 16 weeks, it sounds like a long time, but to learn everything you need to know to get out there, it's really, your mind's buzzing all the time.
Again, probably that shocked me is how hard the whole process is to be a firefighter, to be honest. Like being an outsider who hasn't been a volunteer or anything like that, looking in, you don't know the full extent to what you have to go through to become a firefighter.
Just probably all the stuff that we do. I didn't think that the volume of like how in depth we go with everything, and just the knowledge that you get out of it is probably the most shocking thing. Like before, I had no experience as a volunteer or anything, so probably just being exposed to fire and how you do and don't sort of act on certain things is probably the most shocking thing.
My own abilities, doing things that I didn't know that I could actually do.
It actually shocked me how well you can get along with everyone. Like, it's not even the finish yet, and I already know how many great mates I'm going to take out of this. And yeah, I didn't expect that.
Living at Fistfield's great. Probably roll 3 things into one, and it'd be being in the army, being at uni, and being on a boot camp, all rolled into one.
It's been good. Yeah, the food's good, as everyone would probably know. Yeah, our instructors they're all good, and it's not a bad place. There's enough time to get everything done, sort of enough time to be away from here as well, so it's good.
I've really enjoyed living at Fistfield, to be living with 24 other mates that share the same passion as you. It makes it really easy, and it's good to come back after the end of work each day and kick back with them.
It's been good. It's like living on a holiday camp with your 25 of your closest mates.
Fistfield's interesting. It's like the Fistfield bubble. It's a totally different life. It's full on all the time, but you also have lots of people to have laughs with, and you're always challenged.
Biggest lesson I've learnt, I've always been a person who's been involved in teams and things like that, but when it comes down to firefighting, each and every member of your team has to play their role and work together, or else nothing's going to work.
Biggest lesson? Not sure yet. Probably still yet to learn it, but just trying a bit of time management is probably the best thing. There's plenty of time for study. There's plenty of time to do the drills. There's plenty of time for the gym and other stuff, but you got to really manage your time to maintain sort of the levels that you need to down here.
Probably just more exposure to how much stuff the fire brigade actually gets involved into as part of a staff member.
The biggest lesson that I've learned would have to be my own abilities and the abilities to work in a team and what I can achieve.
Just to put your head down and keep on going. You know, eventually it'll all make sense.
Piece of advice is study hard, don't give up, and just keep sight of what you want to do. Keep working hard. It's not easy, but and make sure you're a all-rounder in the fact that you're studying hard, you're keeping up your fitness.
Once you've got past the beep test, maintain your fitness. Once you pass the aptitude test, maintain doing a bit of study each night. That'll really go a long way once you're successful.
If you don't get in the first time, keep having another crack. It's a fantastic job, and
never give up, just keep going until you get there.
Just if you want to get in, do your research, work hard, and you should be able to get there. Just make sure you put in the effort, because if you put in the effort and the job's for you, then you'll get it.